Hi everyone, Teddy Baldassarre with TeddyBaldassarre.com. In this video, we're looking at a new field watch from Bulova with the Hack A11. So in this video and on this channel, we cover watches available for purchase on our website, TeddyBaldassarre.com, as an authorized dealer. So in this video, deep dive on this timepiece, final points of consideration at the end, but also throughout this video, if you have further questions, check out the link in the description to the product page where you can learn more and purchase the watch. But guys, let's jump into the video and take a closer look at this new watch. Looking beyond brands like Hamilton and Marathon that are perhaps more often associated with military pedigree, Bulova also has its own impressive history of providing watches for military service, having supplied the iconic A11 to Allied forces all the way back in 1943. Today we'll be taking a look at the Bulova Hack A11, a contemporary field watch that takes the original design and then will add a splash of color with a striking blue dial, a solid Miyota automatic caliber inside, and a restrained 37mm case diameter for those that want something smaller on the wrist. Where the established Hack collection speaks more to field watches produced by Bulova for use by U.S. Army infantry forces, this A11 is a direct callback to World War II era watches produced for the Allied pilots and navigators in particular. And this is a watch in a family of watches that is on a short list of ones that I typically look at under $500 from the field watch perspective. Now, starting with a conversation on the case and wearing experience presented by the Hack A11, we have a 37mm wide by 44.5mm long case that offers a distinctly vintage wearing experience on the wrist, while still being substantially larger compared to the original A11, which offered a petite 32mm diameter. Given the polishing on the case, the dial to bezel ratio, and the curved but near vertical case sides, the watch wears slightly larger than its dimensions suggest, for me presenting a, say, 38mm watch in totality, but still, on the wrist, not going to create a ton of presence, and some of that wear on the wrist is going to be also probably brought forth as a byproduct of its more bubble and rounded off case sides that is going to sit on the wrist rather high. The thickness here is significant at 14.5mm, a factor only enhanced by the thickness of the NATO-style strap, which is going to be supplied with this piece, which will actually make it wear probably north of 15mm when strapped to the wrist. Now, it's up to you whether or not you want to go for this NATO strap. This NATO strap here actually is better than most of the typical NATO straps paired with Bulova watches. It does have steeled rings on the holes for the strap adjustment and the sizing. Hardware all coming in stainless steel, polished hardware with the Bulova logo on the end of that buckle. But with that 18mm lug width, certainly no limits on what you can pair with this in the future. Now, looking at the case, is going to be polished in essentially every visible area. You have that coin edge bezel that's also going to be raised at a finer point that's going to meet the crystal, a dome mineral crystal being the choice here. That might not reduce the amount of scratches that's going to be present on this piece, but it does offer some really good visibility of the dial underneath. It does have a 7mm crown that's going to be of the push-pull variety and is only going to offer 30 meters of water resistance when paired with the solid case back here. But let's talk about the new feature here, the blue dial that is going to be showcased on this watch. Now, some purists are perhaps going to have some problems with seeing a blue dial on a field watch, but looking at some of the other Hack models available that really do exude the feeling of that 1940s era, I think this is a simple refresh to that and offering some differences from the collection. Now, the blue is more of a matte, muted type of blue that is not going to have any shimmer or effect to it, really simple and creating contrast with the white markings across the dial. You have 10-minute increment numerals on the outside track, then stepping inward, your traditional hash marks for the other corresponding minutes, and set right inward is going to be your hours set in large luminescent white print. Apart from that, very simple in terms of the rest of the layout. You have the writing of Bulova at the 12 o'clock and then the writing of automatic at the 6. At the center, you have leaf style hands in white that are going to also pop off that blue backdrop of the dial, and then topped off with another pop of color with the red second hand that is going to have that free sweep and hacking function when you pull out the crown to the farthest position. The story of Legibility is a story of two different tales. When the lights are on, Legibility is fantastic. Easy to read the hands as well as the numerals off that blue backdrop, but when the lights are turned off, the luminescent material on this piece does leave a lot to be desired, certainly falling behind some of the competition in the price range. Now, with Bulova being part of the Citizen Watch Group, they have the opportunity and access to Miyota calibers, as Miyota is also a part of the Citizen Watch Group. being one of the largest providers of third-party movements, especially in the price range under $1,000. Now, this Japanese movement provider is going to offer up a variety of different movements. Some of the most popular entry-level options are with that Miyota 8 series of movements, and this watch is going to feature one of those movements. Inside, you have the 82S0. So essentially a hacking non-date variant of the 8215 used in countless watches under $500. And while the caliber is nothing sexy, these movements do have a proven capable ability to run, and also have the opportunity to basically look around the industry and find them taking away in countless watches. In terms of general operation here, you're looking at 21,600 vibrations per hour, so this is a 3 hertz movement. It does feature hacking and hand winding. In this instance, hacking, stopping the second hand when you pull the crown to the farthest position, and has a power reserve of 42 hours. In terms of general specification and accuracy, the range of deviation for these movements is rather wide, but this one was running between 10 and 12 seconds a day when testing across 5 different positions. That is not to take it to the bank for every one of these watches, but wanted to provide some anecdotal evidence for the watch that was showcased here. But now to unpack looking at this watch and talking about its position within the market. So whenever talking about the Bulova hack, there are a few things to consider. One is, what is the competition when it comes to field watches? We mentioned a few. You can look at the likes of Marathon or Hamilton. Hamilton typically being the market leader under $500 or under $1,000, depending on which model you're going to look for from the field watch perspective. But this is one of those models that also I think should be considered by individuals out there. Now, it's not going to have all the bells and whistles as, say, something like a Hamilton, and also is going to be thicker on the wrist, but there are other things going for it. For one, the design is, I think, very sharp. It looks good. In this case with the blue, some purists are maybe not going to like this one as much as some other offerings from the Bulova hack collection, but still, I think it does look pleasant. It's balanced, has great symmetry, and also has good legibility when the lights are on. You also have legit heritage here. Many people, I think, are really quick to just dismiss Bulova and their field watch background and saying that, hey, they're pulling from another brand. They don't have this legit history, but you could look back. Who were some of the brands that were providing watches to the Allied forces during World War II? Bulova was one of those brands that could claim that. And you also have a price range that's going to fall well underneath $500, depending on what version of the Bulova hack you go for, so that also helps from the price category. A couple of the downsides with this watch are going to be the water resistance. 30 meters does leave a lot to be desired, as well as the lume on this one. Not very good illuminating in the dark, so that is going to perhaps turn some people away. And then the thickness as well. It is going to sit higher on the wrist as a byproduct of that Miyota movement on the inside. This blue does certainly offer up a good level of flexibility though, and then with those drilled lugs, have a ton of different looks that you can pair when it comes to strap options. So in general, Bulova hack, is it the definitive field watch for under $500? Probably a stretch to say that, but is it a solid field watch under $500 that one should consider if they are looking to add one to their collection? I think so. All right, guys, well, thank you again so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. That does help out the channel. But also, if you're in the market for the watch presented in this video, it is available on Baldassarre.com. We're a full authorized dealer of over 30 brands, quick and fast fulfillment, dedicated customer support, and a full factory warranty for all the new products that we offer. But guys, thank you again so much for watching. Be well, and I will see you all next time.